Stablecoins have finally done it. They've made it to the final innings of a battle in Congress. But before one of the most consequential crypto bills makes it to President Trump's desk, Democrats ain't going down without a fight. And weirdly, Dems who never made any sense on crypto before finally are.
Do you want to go home and explain that? Go right ahead. Some of your colleagues from 2008 didn't come back.
Here's why the gloves are coming off now as the US finally gives the green light on digital dollars in America. As we covered last episode, President Trump's World Liberty Financial has launched their own digital dollar. And since we put that episode out, the Trump family's control over that company has actually grown, which makes it more fair to say they have a more vested interest in the bill that was just debated ahead of what's likely to be a straight shot to the president's desk. That's what made today's markup in the House Financial Services Committee so important. It's basically the last stand to add things before stablecoins and the entire class of digital dollars floating around all of crypto finally get added to the US financial system.
You sure about that?
It's something that a lot of people had fought to prevent under the Biden administration, which is why the bill has taken so long to get to this point. But now the president and his family stand to print billions of dollars in gains. So suddenly, things have picked up a bit, and Dems like Maxine Waters have seemed to notice.
Without this amendment, other serious stablecoin issuers would be put at great disadvantage to Trump's own companies. We must stop the crypto grift happening at the highest office of this company.
Ranking Member Waters was first to throw out her amendment, which pretty moderately sought to block Trump's family from gaining any insights to the proposed changes to the bill or rulemaking around it so as to not gain any advantages against competitors. That was echoed by California Representative Sam Liccardo, who went a little further in pointing out the conflict of interests arising from the president and his family launching a stablecoin himself that is set to be subject to the very rules the bill is laying out.
I am introducing an amendment to prohibit federal officials, including the president, the vice president, members of Congress, and other senior federal officials, from sponsoring, issuing, promoting, or licensing payment stablecoin. One would think this would be a fairly self-evident and obvious proposition. We want to avoid the inevitable conflicts of interest that arise where the president's appointees, such as the Secretary of Treasury, are regulating the very product that provides unique and exclusive financial benefit to the president and his family.
But the rubber really met the road when Democrats woke up to the fact that there may be problems afoot. Maybe we should be more concerned by plugging crypto, a system that was born out of disgust over the bailouts in 2008, into a system that has bailed out risk takers time and time again.
The chairman, when he was here, told us, if you don't want to use crypto or you don't want to use stablecoin, don't do it. Well, that's fine. Until they use your taxpayer dollar to bail out a stablecoin you chose not to invest in. So what would it mean if this amendment is voted down? It would be a symbol, a statement to the entire crypto industry. Congress is ready to bail you out. The Republicans voted to allow Congress to allow institutions to bail you out. The Fed might bail you out. The FDIC may bail you out. And when Congress had its one vote against bailing out stablecoin, they said, bail them out.
And look, Brad Sherman has been wrong 99% of the time on almost everything he's ever said about crypto, which is why I almost didn't believe my ears, because he does kind of have a point. For one, the second largest stablecoin, USDC, did in fact depeg after the bank in which it had stored $3.3 billion almost blew up in 23. Coinage covered it back then, but when there was a run on Silicon Valley Bank, USDC actually fell to below 90 cents. And you don't need to be an economist to know that's not a dollar. And in that panic, the FDIC stepped in to save SVB's depositors by paying them out dollar for dollar. Crisis was avoided. And USDC recovered to $1. But were it not for the government's actions, they may have been cooked, or at least would have had to plug that hole either with their own funds or loans from their partners at Coinbase. A possible solution, but not one you might seek if you know good old-fashioned bailouts are on the table. which from a game theory perspective, Democrats fought hard to block with an amendment that specifically prevents the taxpayer from ever being on the hook for bailing out stablecoin issuers again.
It will stop these stablecoin issuers from coming to you, to Congress, for a bailout. So we can stop this whole process. You can just say to them, you know what, it's against the law. We can't do it. Sorry. And just end it right there.
And that's kind of the weird reversal happening between pro-crypto Republicans and anti-crypto Democrats. Because, in crypto, bailouts are bad. In fact, Satoshi Nakamoto inscribed in the first ever block in the Bitcoin blockchain a mockery of an article covering the bailouts. So why is it that anti-crypto Dems are the ones leading the charge to codify that the US isn't setting itself up to repeat the bailouts of 2008? Chairman French Hill, what say you?
Some of the comments made here is, we need a firewall. Well, guess what the firewall is? It's the Stable Act. That's the firewall against a potential need for a bailout or for a poorly run stablecoin. Mr. Lynch is right that there have been past stablecoins that have, quote, broken the buck, to quote him. Guess why? Because there's no high federal standard.
Fair enough. I mean, it is true that both Dems and Republicans have wanted to work on this for years. In fact, it was under Democrat Maxine Waters and Republican Patrick McHenry that we almost got this done before. So Representative Lynch, we can be civil about this, right?
When we bailed them out back in 2023, they had the same exact model. One-to-one reserve with the dollar as the reference currency. It failed. We haven't changed that dynamic. So based on all the other stablecoins that have failed and needed relief, we know this is going to happen again. And the bailout will be required, and Congress will support it. Congress will support it because the economy will have crashed. We saw that. It's history. Those of us who were here recognize that danger. You're a newer member, you didn't go through that. So I don't fault you for that.
Oh, he got him with the "you ain't been around long enough." It stings, and even I wasn't around long enough. What say you in response, French Hill?
Let me just simply say that during 2008, 2009, 10, while you all were here voting on Dodd-Frank, I was actually in a bank as a CEO during the financial crisis. And I can tell you that government policy incented that financial crisis. I'm blessed to say that our company was not a victim of it.
Not a victim of it. In fact, you could say French Hill might be lamenting the fact his bank didn't take more risks before the bailout. And that's the thing with bailouts. No one is ever necessarily a victim of it, per se, because no one is a victim when we can just print more cash. It's just socialized losses. The US takes on more debt, and there's no harm, no foul. But that's exactly why crypto was created, to prevent the US from just spreading losses around to everyone like we did in 2008. Because knowing that's going to be there when problems arise can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Representative Lynch, the final word, sir.
You may think this might be unnecessarily in the end run, but based on what has happened in the past and the number of times that the taxpayer is on the hook, why don't we just take a minute and just say, okay, how can we protect the American taxpayer?
And the answer to that winds up being pretty consequential, because it's a very important question. Who and what will win out? The system that hates bailouts, or the system that loves taking risk and getting bailed out? It might be safer to say, as Mr. Lynch did, giving up the former for the latter ensures the same result. The taxpayer, in the end, eats the cost, eats the socialized losses, and is the loser at the end of the game, unless the rules are changed, and we'll see how it all plays out. I'm Zach Guzman. This was Coinage. Stay safe out there.